It is now 8:51 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the East Coast. I'm your host for the Get It Back in Blood podcast, Miss Kosh Taylor, a.k.a. Miss Go. Listen, we're going to continue with the Candace Matthews situation. As this story develops, we'll look into it if it develops into anything else. But let me refresh your memory. In the recent segment, we talked about the child welfare system, Candace Matthews' dealings and her exposure of it, as well as federal indictments that are supposed to be coming down. They have not been listed. I haven't found a list of it yet. I gave you some background into the Dillon Roof and the Charleston 9 church shooting situation. I'll go over more information on what that was. Then we talked about the racial race rallies we had around the country. And I was telling you that that happened, I think I said after the Charleston 9 or before the Charleston 9. The Charleston 9 incident actually took place June of 2015. All of these, movements to take down the Confederate flag started going on, and Confederate monuments started to go on around the United States. And my city of Columbia, South Carolina, was one of these states that held a rally. But what was so different for this state was the fact that we had on one side the new Black Panther Party, and the other side the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK. All right. And I was explaining to you why I did not really associate anymore with Black Lives Matter and the new Black Panther Party. I didn't like his presentation. It seemed to be two extremist groups, the KKK and the new Black Panther Party, in which that is very dangerous to play with the Black Panther Party's legacy, simply because of the issues surrounding it. Most of the original Black Panthers and their families had to go into protective custody. There was this constant threats of violence, fighting for constitutional rights and stuff like that. So the new Black Panther Party having a movement, and then Candace Matthews being a part of the new Black Panther Party, and what she's doing through the Department of Social Services, exposing and exploiting situations, caused me to take her ass up there to the U.S. Justice Department, as I mentioned. But before we go any further on Candace Matthews and that situation, let me give you some more information. I'm going to name the victims in the Charleston 9. It's not as long as the Atlanta child murders, but they would. Just a moment here. So on June 17, 2015, at Emmanuel AME Church, Dillon Roof is accused of killing 9 church patrons. Okay. Right. He was later picked up in North Carolina. He wasn't found on the scene. They somehow got a tip that he was in North Carolina. The victims of the Charleston 9 shooting are Clementa C. Pigney, who Mr. Pigney was actually a South Carolina state senator. Okay. I've seen Mr. Pigney. He's always at the church. I told you I grew up in the church and stuff like that. So I've met Senator Pigney as well. No, I ain't never seen no Clyburn. If I did, I ain't see him. Whatever. Cynthia Graham Hurd, Susie Jackson, Ethel Lee Lance, DePayne Littleton Doctor, Tawanza Sanders. She had just graduated from Allen University, which is in Columbia. Allen University and Benedict College are two historically black colleges centered right in the middle of the state, in the capital of Columbia, South Carolina. Daniel L. Simmons. He was a pastor. This was Bible study, so they was at the church. All right, so Daniel L. Simmons, Sharonda Coleman Singleton. If you're around here, you should be familiar with Reverend Singleton around here as well. And Myra Thompson. Those are the victim of the deceased victims of the Charleston 9 shooting in Charleston, South Carolina. Is Dylan Roof guilty? Once again, like the Atlanta child murders, I don't think, if he is guilty, I don't think he simply acted alone. They stated that he was in different, into different things. I remember on the news, they came to Lexington County, and I'm not going to say the school, but they went to his high school and asked his friends, where he had black friends, white friends, mixed friends, and they didn't understand how he could be the one who did something like that. The Charleston 9 massacre is labeled as a hate crime in the United States. He is faced 33 counts of federal indictments. He is looking at the death penalty. Currently, no, he's not deceased yet. But the way that you've attacked the Grant Taylors, it's put a big question mark on a lot of motherfucking shit. And we'll talk about that. As you know, like I said, Senator Pinckney, very prominent man, someone I could actually see out in the community doing something and not harming anybody. We lost him. Clement is a man, yes. Obama spoke at the funerals, which he did a very, very good job in light of the situation. But after this, they wanted to have the Confederate monuments and flags removed, which is why I don't understand how the fuck Ulysses S. Grant got in the middle of some Confederate shit when he wasn't no Confederate in the first place, to where you tore down his statue and monuments as well. You did it for the Confederates. See, you understand what I'm saying? You did it for the other side. So I'm trying to understand how you don't understand what I'm saying as the Grant Taylor. So, I mean, that's devastating. It was very devastating. It was crazy how this young man actually was rumored to be in hate groups and genocide groups and stuff like that. But yet, after that, you bring the new Black Panther Party, who didn't really much say anything too much different from the Ku Klux Klan. You know what I'm saying? It was totally different from what I would expect from a Black Panther organization, alliance or something. Because I know if I go back and I go watch the movies, view the documentaries, read the content in the paperwork, the documentations, it is not like that. There was a lot of talk about you don't want to pay your child support, you don't do this, you don't do that. Black men, it was a lot of, I'm sorry, but we don't, the pigs were the police, not necessarily the white woman, you know what I'm saying, or the white man. The pigs are usually the police. And that's because they terrorized the communities. And the Black Panther Party simply wanted black communities to have the same rights as white communities and not be harassed by the cops. Even though they presented arms, they were not going out having shootouts in the street. Now, they've had shootouts with the cops, as the old Black Panther parties did do that, because they came in guns a-blazing and, attacks. But I wasn't there, But I'm just saying that this is too eerie for me as the Grant Taylor, that you got full brute force on me and my children and my family specifically, yet a motherfucking again, and you have Senator Clementa Pinckney, deceased. Then you found the body of another Pinckney and a Taylor murdered in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Then you have all kind of people coming in this town that didn't want to be in this town, talking about this Confederate flag issue because they couldn't attack and harm other minorities the way white people could. So they decided they was going to up and leave the state if we didn't kiss their ass. So, Candace Matthews being a part of the new Black Panther Party, it took another notch of respect down. The picking apart of parents in need is an issue for me. Because realistically, we have poor people in the United States. Everyone in the United States is not well off, contrary to what you want to make other nations believe. We have poor people. People lose their job. People go on disability. People, you know what I'm saying? You get a set amount of money a month on disability or unemployment. Do you know the maximum amount of money you get every month for unemployment? I don't give a damn how much you got paid. You gonna get that 300 and something only a week. You only gonna get that 300 and something only a week. The cost of living skyrockets. As I told you before, they up the rent around here every fucking year. It increases every fucking year. You're only allowed one eviction in the state of South Carolina. I met someone who said they had a tenant. They had multiple, because the people had money. They just keep renting to them. But in the state of South Carolina, if you get one eviction, you cannot get a lease anywhere else. They have that the same way through housing authority. With subsidized and unsubsidized housing and Section 8 voucher, them bitches run your credit. And if you got an eviction, you can't even get that. Your rent is going to go up every motherfucking year. People don't know that. Your rent is going to go up every fucking year. The 2 years I stayed in that condo or any place, the rent went up every year. Water, light, sewer is not always included. Water, light, sewer. Some people have to pay for gas. Trash. Trash. Your trash pickup at the dumpster site. You have to pay for that here. Okay? Then you got to have renter's insurance. And we talked about renter's insurance. We'll talk about the difference between condo insurance and renter's insurance. The state of South Carolina is renting condos without condo insurance. You have to get apartment insurance. And if you have anything drastic that happens to your condo, then that renter's insurance is not going to cover anything. Maybe, but the hotel is not going to cover any repairs. I done said this several times. We'll get back into this more. State of South Carolina does not offer condo insurance. The renter's insurance is for apartments. They rent out condos at the price of condos, but they do not have an option for condo insurance. All right? we'll get back to you on that later. My name is Kai Shaler, aka Miss Go for the Get It Back and Plug Up podcast. I'll be back with more.